had to do some furniture shuffling, as you can see, and that's mainly because even though many of you, well, let me just ask you this. How many of you are here for the first time that have never heard me run my mouth before? Never before. That is surprising. That's very surprising. Well, that says something. I'm either outgrowing some generations or all of you are just crazy for coming out and take a chance. But I'm happy that you have done so, and I hope it will be rewarding enough for both of us tonight where we can both learn something. This is about my 9th official trip to Atlanta to speak. The first was brought in by Uman Idiola, and I was brought in again by some other sisters and brothers I don't even know if they're here at this particular time. The Baba, the Florence Institute brought me in at another time. And this particular occasion is probably one of my more rewarding because we're in such a time on our planet that the things that I've said in the past, which, let me ask something else. How many of you have heard me speak before, maybe here, if no other place? Well, that's rewarding too. Okay. For my first time come-outers, you came out mainly because you heard it in WRFD. If that is the case, would you raise your hand, trying to find out where the information came? I don't know. How many of you came out then for other reasons? Or heard about it from other reasons? That's interesting too. I would suggest again that Brother Kevin Jackson, who just came in the door in the back, and who is mainly responsible for me being here tonight, take that into consideration. What they just said, Brother Jackson, was that most of them did not come out just because of WRFG. So maybe you know why, and probably it's because of also going by black media and hearing from it there. If that's the reason, then raise your hand. Now we see where the effort came from. Okay. It was advertised as healthy, wealthy, and wise. We could stay here the next year talking about how to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, all things considered at the turbulent time in which we now live. Let me overview, first of all, by saying on the healthy aspect, we're going to look at the number of new products that are now available to you, some of which are old products but new to some of you, and some of which are brand new. One of which are referred to as the monatomic gold line. Monatomic gold. This bottle that I hold up here is a bottle full of controversy for what it can and cannot do, what it is supposed to do, and what it's not doing, and what it is doing. Everyone has heard about gold. Is anyone in here that's never heard of the term gold before? People kill for it. They don't know why, except that somebody has said it's valuable. Ancestors of some of us who lived in Africa had malleable black gold, and of course in its malleable form it's worth very little value, and couldn't understand why certain people on the earth were crazy about it. Gold, of course, is hoarded, devalued, valued, and seems to run the minds of many people who like money. This gold is called the philosopher's gold. We hope this is the gold prophesied to be given to us at the turn of the millennium when people on earth would need it the most. I hope this is the case. I don't manufacture it, I distribute it. So I hope this is the case. I've done research best as I can, as in all products that our group handles, in the center that I direct called the Metaphysician. And this gold is one that will help you increase your psychic power, improve your brain power, dream in color, and possibly get answers to questions that you've raised for a long time from the best source possible, the highest person in you. See it, since I don't see anybody modulating the amps back there, it must be too close to this, so we'll see if that's any better. There are a number of forms of these gold products that our Metacenter now distributes, one of which is in a spray form, sublingual, under the tongue. Doing so, it helps your mental acuity to concentrate better and to think thoughts that are not so maybe shaded with negative concepts. We all have negative aspects of our life. It's part of living, the good and the bad. This will not stop you from focusing on the bad, but it will make you want to raise consciousness and focus on the good and the higher. I don't have all of the gold products, and a few that I did get got sold because one was really necessary for a person who was in deep trouble and needed it. But we also have the liquid gold tincture. That's good for raising your overall vibrational rate. And I like to use the term tonight, and I hope most of you leave here using it, rather than vibration, call it resonation. Resonance. Not resigning from something, but resonating up to something. That vibrations and dispensations and things along this line have one over total package that is called resonance value. Resonation. It raises the body's resonation. This is a very hard to get item. It's called a toolkit. It has 5 different forms of the monatomic gold, some of which work with what are called the chakra centers. Most of you I know are pros at what chakras are and what chakras do. And everybody from chi experts to key raisers to all kind of meridian balancers and Reiki. So when I say this, it's not foreign to you. But these various ones work for what is called simply, is it possible, let's see, I'm getting a big feedback on this one. Is the amp really that necessary? If it is, then I can't get further away from it than I am. The value of these is to work with each of the chakra centers from the root all the way up to the Shishihara by opening through energy these various energy fields and so they can balance themselves. And in balancing themselves, they help you to work on the physical plane. The idea is that everything physical once was monophysical. And usually physical is the bottom, let's say, of the ocean, and the other spiritual, mental elements and so are higher, floating on the surface. These things work from the bottom up and help to clear you up so that when you begin to use the gold, it will work for you without a lot of side effects. We carry a complete line of monatomic gold. The reason why I didn't bring all the products, other than the fact that I have to go through scanners at airports or whatever vehicle I'm using, is because we have sheets. Each one of the items we have is spelled out on the sheet. The sheets are free to you if you wish to pick them up. They'll be on the table over there. And it lists all of the monatomic gold products. But the chief one is this one. Now I'll simply say this about the Ethereum gold, monatomic gold. It's been rumored that for those of you who believe in the Negas, for those of you who believe in reptilians and serpentines, this is how they keep their shapes or shapeshift. Now, if you really as cool as some of you say you are, I need say no more. Not before it's over with tonight, we'll probably be saying a lot. Right? It also helps you to keep your DNA in order and helps you to raise your consciousness to a higher source. Put these back over here in the box. And move to, again, because I've been asked about a lot of the products, and I've been asked to explain them, why they're used, why they're not used, what they're good for. Over 28 years ago, I began to do studies in magnets and magnetism. I went through the standard introduction into magnets and into magnetism, and I also found that right where it got to be fun, that was the end of the discourse. We sell a book that is very interesting, I think. It's called Understanding Magnetism. And that book, which a lot of our distributors utilize, will bring you full-fledged into the magnetic universe, into magnetism and its uses. Magnets simply, this is oversimplification, but it's the truth, they speed up healing in biological forms, and they help take away pain. Now, we've been told that the myelin sheath and the area around the nerve endings that is sheathed or covered is where we feel and register pain once it gets to what is called the brain center, nerve center, or brain function. The magnets do one thing well. They generate the passage of red corpuscles in alignment. When you have a magnetic field, your red corpuscles all face one direction and are ready to march. It is the red corpuscles that carry what is called oxygen. And oxygen is what you breathe in order to stay alive. Every cell in your body that is a normal, balanced DNA, RNA replicating cell needs oxygen. Nucleic acid, ribonucleic acid, these are the things that form what you are, the pattern of what you are, and keep you what you are. Every 7 years, every cell in your body replaces itself. If it does so in a balanced form, you stay more healthy, you look the same, and it goes on. But as we're faced with a number of things, as we will find out tonight, to say the least, that are constantly eating away at that replication, it takes wisdom and a lot of knowledge to stay healthy nowadays. The magnets, when used correctly, utilize better the oxygen in your body, help your cells to better uptake and replicate the things in your body, and overall the results are heating speeds up and pain goes away. How many have now presently low back pain? How many have upper back pain? You know, to do this, there might have been down in the gastric nerve at the back, up here, back of the neck pain. You ever heard that phrase, pain in the neck? I bet you said it about some people, oh, you pain in the neck, she's a pain in the neck. Well, it came because neck pain, especially up here, is one of the worst pains you could get. Whiplash. If you've ever been in an automobile or whatever accident and the neck mounts forward, back and snaps, that little vertigo and strains the ligaments, oh, it can be a pain in the neck. But why? Because the neck, the last of the vertebra going up to the medulla stem of the brain, is balanced very delicately. All the martial arts, again, you know, you see people whacking on the back of the neck. You have to be very strong to break a person's neck if you know where to hit it. The point is, it's very delicate, and all the nerves that connect the brain with the spine all pass through that little bundle. Also, energy is raised up, and I know some of you are going to help me with this one. What's this at the base down here? They have it that's called something, it's a little triangular pot. What do you call it? Kundalini. The Kundalini. I knew somebody would help me with that. Everybody knows, see, you guys understand metaphysics probably better than I do in some aspects, because these are things that have been utilized for some time. But all those 32 vertebrae, and the cervical disc and everything else that goes with it again, energy is constantly passing up from the bottom down here with a triangular pocket up to past the pneumogastric nerve, out of the pneumogastric nerve, into the medulla stem, and on into what is called the throne. In using magnets, you can help to convey that energy from down here where it generates in the back, all the way up to the brain, and the thinking capacitors that the Creator has blessed us with. If you've had too much sex, especially men, women too, you get a pain in that lower back, in that triangular pocket. If you've been under a lot of strain and stress, these for say 3 moons. What is a 3 moon? 3 full moons equals what? 3 months. Any month, 27 and a half days. 3 full moons. The stress now stays down there and becomes a physical thing, which may have been a mental thing and imbalance. Magnets can help to break that stressful thing. If you have pain in the arm, elbow, leg, knee, foot, ankle, joint, there are magnets of different descriptions that can help you. I didn't bring my full complement of magnets. I do have a couple of magnetic waist supports or back supports, if you would. And I have what I have on my arm, a magnetic bracelet. But we carry 55 different kinds of magnetic products applicable to any kind of pain you can get. And we're working on one for the skull. Got some problems on that only, making sure that you're not going to get sued when you come out with it, because it will relieve Alzheimer's, it will help depression. A lot of people are taking themselves out nowadays because they're depressed. And there's lots of reasons for that too, which we will cover tonight. But we have a magnet for just about any kind of pain or magnetic problem that you may have. The bracelet that I have is the same one, and I do have a few of these about the backs, of course. So you want to know what products I did bring. I didn't bring all, but we do have the bracelets. This contains 4 1,000 Gauss magnets. 4 1,000 Gauss magnets. Something I heard somebody else say, 1,000 Gauss magnets. You can't buy this one, but this is also a magnetic bracelet. It's merely a watch with an expansion band, and it has 4 there. So right now that you can see, you have 8,000 Gauss worth of magnetism standing before you. Why did I say I need that? Because I'm constantly exposed to energy fields that are very detrimental or could be to my body, brain, spirit, and soul. Because you've seen the movie, they now have what they call soul catchers, working on magnetic principles. Soul catchers, remember that. This energy that is produced by magnetism is one that is coming back to our Earth. And as it's being restored on our Earth, it is being brought back by our sun. Maybe our daughter too. The sun is bringing it back because it's time for frequencies on this planet to change. And if they change, and as they change, and they are changing, you either change with them or die. There's no better way. It's simplistic. If death was like that, that would be great. But if death is lingering, tormentous, disconnecting you from your physical body over a length of time through all kind of degenerative diseases, it can be hell. Want to know what hell is? Anytime you are distressed and pain and suffering, you don't have to wait to die to go there. Many of you already know that. Magnets do 2 things. What are they? Help me. What are they? Heal and relieve pain. Heal and relieve pain. You got a break, a fracture. It takes 8 months to heal. With magnets, 4 months, minimum 4 months. Okay? You are in pain. Been suffering for a long time. With magnets, the pain begins to diminish as soon as you touch it. Now, one thing that people don't understand about magnets and magnetism, which I will tell you now, I'm talking slowly enough for you to hear everything I'm saying. Hopefully you'll digest it. Once you feel the pain diminished in magnets, you discontinue that use. If the pain seems to grow, you use a lesser magnification. If you need a higher magnification because it doesn't seem to be having an effect, then you need more magnets there. But you will react to magnets if you're a human man, even if you're a man, because we're in these physical bodies now. Now, once you've gotten an alleviation or a lessening of the pain, discontinue the magnet's use to see how long that lessening continues. Now, hear me well. If you have a major fracture compound and you just had it 2 weeks ago and you put on a magnet and the pain begins to diminish, no, don't stop using the magnet. But I'm talking about for ailments like headaches and minor pains and stuff, once it goes, discontinue its usage. If you find that it comes back, continue usage till it begins to go again, because otherwise you become magnetic dependent. Now, it's very difficult, as I stated this time, for anyone to become magnetic dependent because of the many things that are out there now. But that's where you use a magnet. I suggest that no one wear a magnet 24 hours the same magnet. If you're wearing it during the daytime, take it off at night. If you're wearing it at night, take it off in the day. If you've got a compound fracture and you're wearing it, wear it as long as you can, because there's a big difference there. Your body is in the process of healing itself. And if you begin to feel irritable when wearing a magnet, it means that you need to take it off for that while. Okay? By the way, too, another question's been raised, and I'll answer now. They say, well, what is the Gauss of a magnet. What do I mean when they say Gauss or Gauss of a magnet? It is the distance between, or the distance of effect between two magnetic poles. And that area where you can either feel repellation, where it's repelling, or drawing together, that is the Gauss. Each quarter inch of that is called a Gauss. That's where you simply tell the field strength of a magnet. Many of you have heard me talk about, over the last 9-10 years, some of you, of course, since many of you said that you hadn't heard me speak before, diodes. Just as our group, myself as director, Creative Willie, were able to do a lot of research on the gold, or doing research, on the magnets, or doing research on the gold. We also have been talking now for about the last 7, 8, 9 years about diodes. Now, for those of you who are into electronics, engineers, and so, we're not talking about the dipolar diode that you use in electronics. It's got nothing to do with that. It does not work on the same principle in one sense. These are biological things using crystals and magnets and a catalytic agent, which I don't know because it's patented and nobody's been able to back engineer it down. What happens when you start to back engineer it, I can save you some time, some of you are going to be stubborn and do it anyway. You interject your own thoughts into it, it's picked up and it won't work. That sounds like I'm crazy. I'm going to tell you, now before you get real cute and all like that, that's what's going to happen. But nevertheless, these particular diodes, our diodes, these diodes that you can buy from us for send for it again, energize and re-energize themselves in sunlight. That is our big difference because they are biological, have nothing to do with just electronic components. They're biological diodes. What do they do? The overview, and what I usually say to a less sophisticated audience, is that they protect you from radiation and oscillating energy. Since many of you are already on the path, for many speakers, I'm going to treat you just like that and say that they stabilize your own electromagnetic field, which runs usually out about 18 inches, some 12 inches from the human body. Your electromagnetic field is generated by your brain waves and your heartbeat. Your blood circulation from it creates an energy field that works to protect your body. This is how people can sense people. This is why when a person gets too close to you, and we probably have time tonight for a lot of demonstrations, and you get too close, they feel that energy, too close, you're in my what? You're in my space. Baby, get out of my space. Baby, get in my space, or whatever it's going to be. Brother, get out of my space. You crowd a person who has a very particular vibrating field, you feel uncomfortable when you're in that space. There's some people you want in your space, there's some things and people you don't want in your space. Well, what this simply does is to use that, strengthen that field that you already have, and then you can begin to adjust to incoming frequencies. Radiation has been referred to as oscillating energy. Radiation and oscillating energy are 90% the same. The only difference is if you have a poisonous substance, which now also can fall into the category of oscillating energy. What oscillating energy does is to approach your body in frequencies that it cannot adjust to. Radiation has long, short, hertz, all kind of different vibrational rates by which it approaches you. And your body cannot adjust to the various frequencies quickly enough, and so it interpenetrates you and begins to burn and cook you from the inside out, just like a microwave. They have what they call ELF projects. I'm going to jump in the gun here a little bit. Extra low frequency modulating projects. Got a huge one up in Wisconsin. They've got one up in Lacona, Alaska now, the HARP project. They've got ESTAC, the European search for the same kind of thing over in Norway. They got Brookhaven, where you got your relativistic heavy ion collider, RHIC. All of these projects are utilizing micro and micromagnetic waves and low frequency propagations. Now, all that means to you at this time is this. You're in trouble. You understand that yet? Why are you in trouble? Because in metaphysics you are referred to as what? An electromagnetic, what else? Unit of consciousness. some of us may not be conscious of our consciousness, but we are still electromagnetic units of consciousness. And the electromagnetic fields always play havoc or are in harmony with you. When you leave your home tomorrow morning, well, tomorrow's not a good day, it's a Sunday, some of you maybe work on that, but let's just say on a day when you're going to work. You either get up, turn on lights, turn on a toaster, turn on a blender, a juicerator, a tea maker, a coffee maker, turn on an overhead light, watch what's happening on cable, watch what's happening on your regular TV, maybe see if you got any email, fax off something. Everything you're doing is using the electricity or one of its byproducts. And each one of those things you just looked at or touched is radiating you. Because you ever notice when you used to have the old rabbit ears where you had to get cable and underground and overhead lines, you passed in front of those rabbit ears. I know most of you are too young for that, but those of you who can go back in mind with me with the rabbit ears. Look at the back, somebody just saying I can't think, whatever. You see a little wave. Anybody remember that? You pass by a little rabbit ears, see a little wave. What do you think just happened? You just grounded out a high frequency electromagnetic wave. Grounding out through your body. What does grounding out mean? You just got it electrocuted. You just got it radiated. It's just that the frequency was one you could adjust to, so it passed through you, but it did some harm when it was passing through you. Now think of a person sitting at a computer 5 and 6 hours a day. 30 days to 31 days a month. Over a year's time. And they say, I'm a computer nerd. I'm a computer user. Computers are necessary now to do business if you're going to do big business in Western world consciousness. And every time you put in front of that CRT T-shirt, you're getting radiated. Not only that, but it vibrates your hypothalamus nerve, grounds off through there again, and helps you to form little pictures that aren't too cool, and burns out and registers on the hypothalamus nerve. In addition to your central nervous system, it just goes on and on. Most of you here, I bet, never heard of a cell phone, did you? Some of you heard of a cell phone? Some of you in the back also heard of cell phones? Have you really? Just because you're in the back doesn't mean you don't have cell phones. All right, why am I being so trite? Because I want you to think. I want you to make a decision tonight. How many of you think every time you use that cell phone it helps you to make money or helps you to contact someone that you want to talk to? Raise your hand. Maybe you didn't hear me. Let's try this again. How many of you think when you use that cell phone it helps you to make money or to contact someone that you want to talk to? That should be everybody raising his hand in here. Some of you use cell phones for other reasons. You hit phone numbers. Well, that's to contact somebody else, isn't it? It's to get that monthly allotment out. Well, that's to contact somebody, isn't it? Cell phones are a convenience. And I know that most of you, or a lot of you, are very, very, very powerful people, because I saw a young lady, she had to be at least 15, 16, walking through one of the major superstores with that cell phone in her hand because she had something important to say and couldn't wait. And I knew she was very intelligent because she just walked by our produce section there, which had ultraviolet light. She walked by the dairy section, which had neon light. She walked underneath a couple of scanners, which I know the program on the other side didn't like that because he just got a blast. Those are the sightseers that watch you when you walk up down the aisle to stay there too long. You know anything about that, do you? Overhead eye in the sky is in the roof. Now you heard that, didn't you? Was that a response or was that a response? So your roof's also that way, huh? I figured. Okay. Well, you'll find a lot of things when I lecture. Never surprises me. We are in a sea of radiation, and that cell phone is probably as bad as any of the rest of them. It's excellent for communication, and I do not say throw away your cell phone. What I'm telling you is buy a dial. Buy a dial. This little dot that you see on that blue seal in the background is a dial. That little thing there. It is a particular type of dial. It's called a cell phone dial. That cell phone dial protects you from your cell phone and lets you use that cell phone to do whatever it is that you wish to do without the deleterious, negative, bad effects from it. We started off with what they call analog cell phones and analog things. Now everything is becoming digital. It's getting smaller, micro miniature. So it takes a smaller. This is a black onyx stone, a crystal. And on the back of it is a diode material. Therefore, you have a crystal magnetic diode amplifier, which protects you now from the antenna and the battery in that cell phone. The reason why cell phones work, if you remember when they started before, you would lose signal. You get out of the cell area, and this is what nobody wanted. Heck, I've just got a good conversation going, boom, I lost my party. So now they have relay systems and switches in various places you've never even guessed, and some you've seen. Little square boxes like this, fixed to a wall, so they have cages around. You have some in church steeples, grain silos on farms, in the ground, because that signal has to be amplified, and usually every 3 miles. Now that it's becoming widespread with more than one company, you have those who don't tell the frequency on theirs versus those who won't say the frequency on those, but you're getting them all, and you're walking and driving and flying and whatever through those signals, which are all interpenetrating. The antenna of the cell phone, we just heard the 2020 special, was on Fox TV, it's been all over the place. They've now pretty much calibrated, causes not only brain tumors, it can cause after 8 to 13 months usage, cancers, loss of eyesight, hair falling out, calcium deficiency, and on down the line. Feelings of being depleted, fatigue, works again on the adrenals, works on the thyroid, and by the way too, half the women in here, I hope, have not had thyroid problems. Many women are going to get them and they don't even tell you why. Cell phone is one of the reasons. Computers another reason. I'll just kind of digress a little bit here as we're talking about healthy. A woman has 3 lobes on the thyroid. They don't tell you that. You need more iodine? No, not necessarily. You need more balancing minerals. And as we're exposed to these things, and as we get older, we lose the calcium, and the magnesium, and manganese, and the phosphorus. And when you use these kind of electronic things, they utilize all this converted and use those things as energy. They're living off of you as you use them. Never heard that one before. That's it. One little gadget like this can stop that and still let you use your cell phone. Now somebody say, I don't even have a cell phone, but I have a pager. Where do you usually keep your pager? Can't hear you. Where do you usually keep your pager? Waist. And what's near your waist? The most vital thing for a man and a wonderful thing for a woman. Your sex organ is at your waist or down below it. When that pager says, you just got radiated your sex organ. Yes, you did. And all around your waistline, and your kidneys, and all the rest of that stuff. Yes, you did. Now maybe you heard me. Then you heard that one. That didn't mean anything. Your sex does. You can put a dial on the page and say your sex organ. Then when you get tired, put it on your head. Anybody didn't hear what I just said? I think you heard that one, didn't you? Even in the back, you heard it, didn't you? You heard it. I know you heard it. I can tell you smiling. You didn't smile when I said hello to you, but you smiled then. You did. Cell phone dial, $34.95. Put it on your page and put it on your cell phone. For the TV set, for the microwave, the X-ray machine, for the hair dryer, and I've seen ladies sit on their hair dryers for an hour and a half, frying their brains. Causing the pons viruli is not entrainment, it's trained breath. Then they wonder why the hair won't grow and the scalp is sealed and everything else. Deadly energy comes out of those hair dryers. And it heats up because it's the electrons that are heated up in a conductor, in a tube. And that's what blows from inside. Then you blow up with hot air from radiation. Put it on this, put it on the back of your TV set, put it on your hard drive, put it on your computer, put it on your fax machine, put it on anything that duplicates and uses electronic emissions. And it slows those down to an area that you can use it. They call it a Ripper dial, $29.95. Pink one, slim pocket dial. Put it in your pocket. I suggest 2. Why do I suggest 2? Because the energy comes in from your left and exits from your right. It does not block out these principles from entering into your body. It's not what it does. It stabilizes your own body's energy so that it slows it down to a vibration that it can adjust to, and it passes through you. Entering from the left, exiting from the right. With this, sets up that field 18 inches out, gets it, goes through, keeps on going. Other than that, it's into you and begins to cook you from the inside out. Why do microwaves work? Because microwave, you have a microwave oven, it cooks the biological material you have on it, but the plate is cool. You are not the plate. You are biological. It cooks you from the inside out. Soft tissue diseases, immunism, you begin to reach your own conclusions as to what to be called. $27.95. One on one side, one on the other, you double the price, you double the protection. That's all I can take. Something that looks like a cork, or what they call a wall plate, something else. Cork wall plate, right? Far from it. This particular little gadget has on the back is painted with diode material. When placed on a table, desk, wherever you're going to place it, you put anything on there that is radioactive. So far, as we've found, it takes the radioactivity out of it. You put something that's radioactive on this, it takes the radioactivity out. Now, a better form is to use the term oscillating energy, because poisons can also be oscillating energy. You go to the store, you buy some groceries, some canned goods you think might have poisons in them and things that might be detrimental to your body. Bring that bag in, sit it on top. You can't go out of the circumference of it now. You might have to put it a little time, sit on there for about an hour or more, transmutes an electron off of that atomic thing that is bad for you, sends it away, and that thing cannot hold poisons or radiation in. You see what I said? You talk about something from the future, you talk about research, we've done it, and this is definitely a different ingredient when we need it the most. Transportation class. I can charge $800,000 for this thing. $59.95. And same place, put it in the sunlight, recharge it yourself. Unless you lose it, you can use it. Those of you who asked the question, I've heard it asked before. See, I'm not on the infomercials on the TV shows and stuff. This is a diode pad. It's not a magnetic pad, it is a diode pad. What does a diode pad do? The same thing that did, only it does it for you. You sit on this. When you're using that computer, when you're using or watching that TV set, when you're in that airplane up above 18,000 feet, although the radiation field understands is coming pretty close now, getting some dire times. We're going to end that tonight about all these things. In your car, interesting thing too about a car. Let me explain something. How many have ever driven in a car? Ridden in a car? Okay, I'm getting better response. I know if I ask enough questions, I get a response. I see those hands. Cars are interesting instruments of pleasure and business. They have a firewall and rotating wheels and a battery and an engine. And that's all it takes to fry it. I'm explaining what I'm saying. In basic physics, when you have a rolling thing over area, you can't round out well through it. The round comes from inertia and something that conducts simply this. You go underneath overhead power line in your car, and if you have one FM especially, or man, you hear that is energy guess who's sitting in that car? You, if you heard it. And guess what just happened to you? You got grounded out by radiation. You said, well, that's only audio units. Well, yes, audio is a sound, but the electron or the electrical organism or whatever it is the other part of the gas. You just got it in your body. Okay? You sit on this pad, passes through you. The firewall of a car is metal, and all of the electrical units are usually grounded against that or against the front frame, including your battery, which means that it also holds that charge going back and forth, and since the wheels are rotated, it can ground out because it's kicking it right back in, so you lost your protection. Instead of just getting a plain pad and sit all in there, get a diode pad. And this is a magnetic pad. A magnetic pad does something else. I said, what? I'm not going to waste your time going through a lot more of our diode products. We have 13 of them, including, which I didn't bring, something that is called a diode mid. It looks like two pyramids, one up, one down, one inverted. And it has the equivalent of 35 diodes in the base. And that particular pyramid structure will protect 60 yards in all directions. 60 yards in all directions. You can use it in your home, you can use it on one floor of an office building, you can use it wherever your genius mind tells you, but it protects everything in that field. You'll find another thing too, when you first try to use it for the first week, you get a lot of birds going. See little worms come up out of the ground. If you have a yard, you see that. They won't stay long. But the animals have now adjusted to this new field you set around, and your neighbors won't even thank you. You ought to charge them half price. Now the reason why it only can work on one floor of an office building is because an office building is one of the probably worst inventions next to all the bad inventions that they've been able to come up with. Because modern office buildings, you tell me when I'm wrong, they have poured concrete to steel pylon structures with girders. They have a roof of asphalt, usually covered or reinforced because they have cable capabilities. And on top of that is a cable unit for some reason or another. On top of that is your air conditioning unit and your water cooler. The water cooler, by the way, goes down through the pipes and then usually brings the water in, and then you got a unit that plugs into the wall, and you have a water dispenser right alongside the coaxial cable for those computers that are in that office building. If any of you know anything about a computer, if you have a big office computer and your big office section has a computer room, your computer room has in there what? Cooling units. Why? Because the computers get so hot and generate so much radiation that they have to have a cooling room, or the building would probably melt in about a couple of years' time. And yet you have one behind you in the cubicle, one in front, you run over to the boss's area or whatever else again. So that's why it takes one on each floor, a certain guaranteed space of an office building. Office buildings are just walking radioactive laboratories, because everything in there is built not for biologicals, but for machines. That pretty much runs through our diodes, takes care of our magnets, and introduces you to a monatomic gold. I didn't say gold, monatomic gold product. So that's a lot of questions about it. It's one of the best ways by using those products that I know to stay healthy. One of the other things that I want to add on the magnetic quality, some of the guys said, we're black here in Maine, and consequently we don't need that shit to talk about it. Well, it's one of our magnetic products. Let's see if I have it here. Well, I don't see one right off the bat, but it's called a mag mail. Is there a card over there? One of the man? You have a mag mail there. If you've ever seen, I hope I can say this to see well, it seems to be an adult audience in the weekend, but I don't personally use it, doesn't matter. One of the condoms, soap dispensers, the bags, well, that's what that looks like. Oh, the grandson's going to bring it up. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Man, I don't know about that. Magneto sex enhancer. That's what it does. For everybody hears about Viagra, but they don't tell you about the side effects of Viagra. start reading the list and we, all kinds of side effects, including brain collapse and so on and so forth again. People, men get pumps, they get implants, all kinds of other things. Mag mail, ring of magnets. Use it over sex organ for a male, and you wear it until there's blockages, stoppages, pineal and veins begin to prolapse from all the plaque that's in them, and now you have direct blood flow like a stroke. Magnets work anywhere you put them. Why not there? Okay? We have them. And we sell lots of them. I know none of you guys use them, but we're selling them to somebody. Lots of them to somebody. For the female, I used to think that the only gland that a female had was one ovary. And since it's just part of the reproductive system, I figured that all females must drink too much milk, must do nothing intelligent to keep calcium in their body, because every time they start going through PMS, hot flashes, have menopausal symptoms, no matter what age, and of course with all of the vaccinations and things that you guys are now getting, happening pretty sudden PMS. They tell them they need what? I want you to help me because I'm dumb and I need help all the time. What ladies do they tell you don't have enough of? I can't hear you. Estrogen. Estrogen. Okay. Get high off estrogen, can't you? Get high. Uncle Tom, Jennifer, Uncle Sam, Uncle Charlie. I don't know these uncles you can get around. Estrogen. Did you realize that the female also generates progesterone? I didn't think women ever had any progesterone. I know all the guys say if you're a real man, you got a lot of testosterone. But the women only seem to have, what do you call it again? Estrogen. So first thing they tell you, let's get an estrogen shot, let's take an estrogen capsule, let's get up some more estrogen. In probability, most of you are not lacking estrogen for the ability to manufacture it. They're lacking progesterone. Because they never told you that you needed progesterone. I have a number of tapes. A lot of people have a lot of books. I'm too dumb to write books. But I do speak from the heart. I've been speaking from the heart now for a long time. I've done a lot of research for a long time. And through some other men, Cameron Douglas, Jeremy Chervas, and others, I found out that the progesterone is also secreted in the seeding of the ovary, and that there are 3 glands, and I have a tape. Well, in fact, I brought people ask about it, we'll see if they go tonight. I brought the entire man, woman, and children videotape, and I may have 1 or 2 in audio, so it went pretty quick. I've got about 2 sets left, so don't get angry, that's what's left. And it looks at a metaphysical look at man, at womb man, and at, of course, children. And it does it, I think, very succinctly. The Creator was working through me. I allowed myself to be intelligent for a time, and I did some research. You won't believe some of the things it says. One of the things it says for the female is that you have 3 glands that they never told you about. 3 glands in your body that they never told you about. And I'll share it for you for free. You can still buy the tape to find out how they work. One is that 3rd lobe on the thyroid, which is going to grow in most women now, and they won't tell them why. The other is called the apouvaroon in the parvufferoon. It's located in what is called the mesosymphysis, the cavity there outside of the womb, which dermoid cysts sometimes go to term, and you think it's a baby. Being carried outside the womb. They won't tell you what's really happening down there now. And when you have estrogen deficiency, which you probably don't, and you give yourself more estrogen, it can cause all kinds of problems, possibilities. See if I did bring that all that on the tape. Move it over, but I wanted to move it there. Well, anyway, I won't waste time with that because there's so much to cover. There's a green sheet over there that has the component parts of the breakdown of what estrogen deficiency can bring about and what progesterone balance can bring about. And it's by Dr. Lee over there who's done an excellent bottles of that cream left too. Let me say this, hopefully y'all can mention that table because I really don't want to take back to Chicago any of that. I don't think I should have to if you understand the value of some of the products that we have. Estrogen does a number of things to bring about feminine qualities, and progesterone supports all of them. Estrogen without progesterone, they're also more nervous, less calcium and phosphorus, magnetism potential, and you can get less usage out of most of them. But they talk about one thing, they don't talk about the other. Last but not least, as we're still looking at healthy, is the idea, and this is going to jump a little bit into the wisdom part, that each day now we are plagued by the modern provocation and proliferation of intelligence of a beast that is on this planet. Now, unlike what some of you are going to hear now, and you may not like it, that beast does not just come non-melanated. Because their servants are served better than the beasts themselves and believe the beast so much that they've lost track of the truth, or never knew it. And they serve in many capacities in this crazy society of ours. So don't blame the white man and the Caucasian. Blame anybody who has science, who has religion, who has education, and refuses to use it in a spiritual way. And our universities and laboratories are full of them. Full of them. There's something called the Terminator seed. How many already know all about the Terminator seed? Let me see your hand. Okay. How many of you, not even familiar, never heard of the Terminator seed? As an overview, because we have a lot of subjects to cover, the Terminator seed is a new seed that your government, now as specified, should be used by people who plant and grow seeds. When you grow seeds, unless you're sprouting them, is to germinate and give flower, plant, leaf, and fruit. And they're saying to you now that these seeds are now manufactured to give you one crop, and one crop only. Farmers planted corn, barley, oats, grass, grain, whatever they're going to do, as long as they rotated, there was not a drought, there was not a flood to wash it away, these things would come up year after year after year. That's what farming used to be. And in fact, as you replenish the minerals in your soil and work with it again, things even grew better and heated themselves up. Well, now it's illegal to use anything but the Terminator seed, which comes up one time and dies off. It terminates. People who now sell you seeds that are not of the Terminator distribution or variety are now illegal and can be lawsuited. Ever heard of such? Wonder when your Congress passed that one through. Wonder when your House of Representatives, closest to the people, passed that one through. And the Senate agreed to that too. Just to digress a bit, this about 10 days ago, they got, about 3 months ago, about 1 month ago and 10 days ago, they just passed 2 more laws that are just, it just amazed me. But they have. To the Terminator seed. If you have this means pretty soon that there will be no farming because the farming will be controlled by the government who issues seeds. And it used to be they paid farmers not to what? Or grow. Remember when they used to dump corn and wheat and things into the ocean and people over in Africa were starving? Now you don't have to worry about them starving. They're going to be starving here. In Africa, we're going to be starving. Because without the seed that can grow itself again, you're dependent on somebody giving you the seed and you hope it's the seed for what you want. And understand, along with that, they now have what is called gene splicing. I have a tape genocide, then genocide. Right? Listen to it. Understand that what they are now doing, whoever this they are, they is, they be or not they be. Why do they be? That's the question. The whole idea here is that they're setting up now insect venom in tomatoes, so possibility. They may have some other kind of hormone that came from another source in the potato, celery, rutabaga, cabbage. They are gene splicing. And they don't have to tell you what has been gene spliced. Some say genetically altered. Some say irradiated. Because in addition to that, they are now radiating your food, genetically altering your food, and they don't have to tell you what foods have had that done to them. But if you know how it used to look and how it used to taste, you'll find that that's running amok in most of our produce. And you don't have a choice about it any longer. I don't know if you had a choice about it to begin with. Why do I say that you're going to need every kind of aid you can get? Why do I say that if the magnets begin to act like they're irritating you, take them off? 9 times out of 10, you never have to take them off, because we're now running into such a false world, such a mechanistic, horrible, non-feeding, non-spiritual, non-biological world out here. I'm going to have to follow the previous thoughts tonight. I'm going to jump to something I wasn't going to jump to. In fact, I was almost in with this one, but I said do it now. When I argue, when I get into trouble, I do argue. Along with these other wonderful aptitudes and probabilities that we've been discussing, they now have what they call chem sprays. Chem sprays. But they don't call them that. They call them contrails. How many have ever heard of a contrail, a jet contrail, airplane jet contrail? How many have heard of a chemtrail, airplane jet chemtrail? Many people look in the sky and they think they're seeing a contrail. Emitted by the burning, again, supposedly a fuel in a jet. Well, that's not what contrails are comprised of. Most people don't understand. It has nothing to do with the burning of the fuel in the jet exhaust. A contrail is formed by ice particles in a certain portion of the stratosphere that you fly through, and the moisture, either from the engine or in the air, because of the altitude and the progression of the jet, icicles these little water particles, and the ice spews off the back of the fuselage and trails behind the plane. It has nothing to do with jet exhaust. I heard some people talking earlier, and I said, come to the lecture. That has nothing to do with jet exhaust. That is a portion, usually above 38,000 feet, that the plane's fuselage ices and ice crystals form behind it as it flies away. That is what is called a contrail. A chemtrail definitely comes out of not only fuselages but everything else, and will trail sometimes for 50 miles behind that plane. And if you haven't seen them, you haven't looked at the sky, because there are over 240 major United States cities, as authority, and in Africa, in Europe, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Japan, they are everywhere. And not one word is said about what they're doing up there or why they're doing it. Not one word. These chemtrails have been analyzed. And some of the analyzation on some of these chemtrails find that they have manure, non-human T cells, Cryptosporidium, Pneumococcus meningitis and Petavis. They have molds. They have what they call, I don't even know how to put it, different fungus, and they have a classification of the fungus. Different times they're spraying all kind of things from the air over major cities. And people look up and say, oh, that's a mighty long jet exhaust. That's a mighty long contrail. Or they look up and say, oh, it's flying over the jets are there. That's what they do. And naively walk away. Well, that would be good if naively walking away got rid of it. Odds against naively walking away wins at 50,000 to 1. Naively walking away is not going to do anything. It's just like he who hides head and drown and sticks rear up. You know what you're going to get. Why is it being done? Why is it being done so extensively? Why is it being done without question of permission from most of the United States citizens which are involved in this, whether they like it or not? Where do the planes come from? Who gases them? Who flies them? If they're chemicals, who's supplying it? What are the canisters? This thing has got to be, one,